Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome right now Meissa Benoist, right? Making sure I got the last name correct?
That's right.
Everything Supergirl is this woman right here. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
This is amazing that Supergirl is what it is now, because they've tried doing various incarnations of Supergirl in the past, never really quite hit that stride that they were looking for, to making it a big deal, to take it seriously as a character as far as film and television goes. But here you are, and you hit it.
Yeah, here we are.
It's amazing.
It's kind of crazy.
I want to ask you, starting off with, everything. I was there at Comic-Con for the panel that you guys had announcing everything. And what was it like when you get this job and you know it's for Supergirl? A lot of comic book, maybe not so much nowadays, but back in the day when you'd say, oh, it's not Wonder Woman, you're Supergirl, so it kind of seemed like a lesser Superman version. Seems like when you were getting the job and they were building the show and everything, there was a lot of doubt built around the show. Like, I don't know how Supergirl's going to do, because Superman has a hard enough time as it is, outside of, say, Smallville, keeping an audience, people being happy with the direction that the stories are going, the comics, the movies, things like that.
Right.
You'd think it's the biggest known franchise there is as far as comics, maybe next to Batman, and it always seems to be struggling and having a hard time. Was there a lot of doubt, a lot of criticism about launching Supergirl?
I don't think that the team that was helming it felt that way. You know, I think that because I didn't know that there was a Supergirl comic before I auditioned for it. And while I was reading about it, reading up on it, going through the auditioning process, her specific story is so rich, and she's been through, I just think the fact that she spent 12 years on Krypton before she ever came to Earth is such a big deal and so traumatic, and she has just a lot of room for really wonderful stories, and how she deals with being on Earth. And I think that our producers Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg and Ali Adler and Sarah Schechter, they all saw that too, and saw that there's a lot of heart to this character. So I don't think there was ever really a doubt in our mind that it would speak to people. I think we were all just really excited about it, to put our spin on things. Well,
when the show comes on, and a lot of people, and by people I mean comic book fans and what have you, were very surprised about how, wow, this isn't that as bad as we thought it was going to be, or it looks like it has some room to grow here. And especially within the last 4 episodes, everything that's been going on has really kind of secured that they know what they're doing with this show and where they're going to take it. I was really happy with a lot of the stuff that happened in the last 4 episodes, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But Supergirl itself, under the shadow of Superman, what was the mindset that you guys had going in with the character? Like, all right, there's a lot of references to Superman throughout this first season. Obviously, you don't see him, but you're still sort of under that shower. Yeah, you're shadow. You are Supergirl, but there's still Clark Kent. There's still Superman. What was the mindset going through as far as how are we going to develop her so that she gets out of his shadow?
Well, I think that the only reason she is in his shadow is the fact that by the time she got to Earth, he had already become this hero,
right,
and showed himself to the world and was doing ultimately what she was sent to Earth to do. So she kind of made that decision to really keep herself in the shadow. And I think what we wanted to do from the get-go was spend this whole season ruminating and marinating really in what it means to be a hero and what kind of a hero she wanted to be, and that it wasn't going to be easy for her to figure it out, but that she wanted to figure it out on her own, and that it is her story and her version of saving the world the way she wants to do it without his help.
I like in the last few episodes where she started to come to some realizations, maybe through some help of Reb Kryptonite, where you don't have to just be doing everything to make everyone happy. Even though you're the role model, you're the superhero, you're the good girl. You want to do things for yourself, and it's been expressed more and more over the last few episodes here, which I think is a great direction, so that you're not fitting the mold of, no, Supergirl does this, and she says this, and she only fights these kind of people. opens
Completely.
up. Yeah.
Totally. I completely agree. And I also think that the first half of the season, we really dealt with that she's so intrinsically good and just innately a positive, optimistic person, but doesn't always necessarily think of herself first.
Right.
And that's the only way that she's truly going to ever be the hero that she wants to be, is to kind of follow her instincts and be her own Supergirl, like she said in the show in the past couple of episodes.
As we said, with the shadow of Superman cast over this, she doesn't feel that she's in the shadow of Superman. You know, people who are coming to the show, giving it a shot, they're like, all right, when is she going to become and make her own thing? It's not so much Superman, as I've seen, as it is her own mom. Because it seems a lot of these attacks that she's getting is always somebody pissed off at her mom.
Yeah.
And even though her mom was trying to do the right thing, it's like, well, it's not really Superman I need to step away from. It's like, I need to get out of my mom's shadow here and be my own thing. So every time you go out and try to develop your civilian life and your superhero life, somebody comes in and says, I hate your mom, and now you're going to pay for it. And then, all right. And it's at the point now where you kind of go, yes, I know. She did something. Let's go.
Do you want to fight about it?
Let's fight. Let's go.
Well, I think that's part of what I love so much about her story, is that her roots to Krypton are so much deeper than Kal-El's and Superman's. She actually had a childhood there, and she knew what it was like, and she was there when the planet was dying, and knew what her mom did. And I think, that being said, a lot of other people know who she is, a lot of other aliens, and namely criminal aliens, criminals of the galaxy. So I think there's much more to chew there for her than there is for Clark, who was a baby when he left.
By the way, that prison that your mom sent everybody to, Fort Ross,
Yeah.
not really the most secure place, because it seems everyone's breaking out of there. Everyone
Yeah.
is breaking out of there. And like, oh, it's a horrible place. It's in the Phantom Zone, and this is where all the most dangerous criminals in the universe go. But they're all getting out, and they're all showing up and coming after you at some point.
Yep.
So there's a lot you got to deal with here, besides dealing with a bitchy boss in your civilian life and trying to make good there and balance regular human relationships. You got that chip on your shoulder to deal with your mom as well. Superman, not needed right now as far as anybody making an appearance in any form of Superman. Did they say that, look, we're not entirely opposed to it, like somewhere down the line that maybe there'll be a cross paths or something will happen?
Well, I know that we do. I love the little tidbits we get of him here and there, because they are family, and I do love when they're appreciative of each other, and you see that bond.
Right.
I know as of now it's her story, and we want to focus on that.
Yeah, it's too early for him to show
early.
up.
Yeah,
but
she needs to figure things out.
I was just wondering if maybe when they were giving you the guidelines for saying, okay, this is the direction that we're looking to go with the character, with the show, somewhere down the line, we may toy with the idea of having him make an appearance.
You know, I'm not opposed to it. I think it could be really cool, but I do love the fact that it is Supergirl's story and that it's her journey.
Well, let me ask you this then. If he does make an appearance, the way the way DC is designing everything is that the cinematic universe isn't really at play with the television universe. So, as we see now, there's a new Flash for the movies, as opposed to the Flash who you'll be crossing over with very soon on Supergirl there. So, if they do Superman, they'd have to have somebody else portraying that. They wouldn't bring the movie guy in.
Probably not.
Does that ever sit on your mind, like, there's no opportunity to maybe move into the movie, do a cross kind of thing?
No, I think that what we're doing in the TV shows, in the Berlanti universe of DC shows, I think it's really great, and I think we've kind of created our own little world within the DC comics, and it's a different aesthetic, it's a different direction. I think I cannot wait to see Batman versus Superman, and I can't wait to see Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think she's gonna really pull it off, but I think that it doesn't sit on my mind. I think both are in their own respects, really wonderful versions of these incredible characters.
So no one feels that it's important to, at some point, like, because I know that's what Marvel is doing on their side. The TV shows do have references and points in the movies and things, like everything's got to be interconnected. DC's doing 2 separate lines with the movies and the TV. So I guess it's really, nobody's saying like, well, you know, they'll put a Supergirl in the movie at some point, but people will know that you're Supergirl here on TV.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah.
At some point, that's going to happen, and then you'll get people. Why isn't Why isn't she in the movie? Why, you know, like when they do Superman, Batman, or Justice League 4 or whatever like that, and they cast somebody else in there. The crossover I made a mention to is happening on March 28th, which is exciting, with The Flash. Now, this is happening on the CBS side. It's great that they got to this point, that you're actually doing some crossovers. I guess the obvious questions would be, one, would there also be some tie with the Arrow at some point, and would you show up on the CW properties?
You know, I didn't even realize that Grant coming to the show and us doing a crossover was even a possibility when I first started this job. So I won't rule it out. I think it would be so fun to be on both of those shows and do crossovers with Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, and I think it'd be so fun to see Supergirl interact with those characters. Is it a possibility? I have no idea business-wise, but I think the fans would really like to see. I think it's fun to watch all the crossovers, and I love watching Steven and Grant together, and hopefully.
When they made the nod to the possibility of a crossover on The Flash, he was jumping between Earths. In that little portal there.
There's a little flash
and there's
of
a thing.
Supergirl.
There's the Flash. There's Green Arrow, and then off to the side there's Supergirl. Did you know that this was going to happen, or did somebody say they just showed it on TV? I guess this is happening.
I knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
I didn't know to what capacity. I didn't know. I knew they were using a clip from the show, but I didn't know what it was going to be used for. And it was so cool the way they did it. This little Easter egg, and you should have seen, like, my social media was blowing up when that happened.
Because I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if she knows, because that episode was pretty, far ago, and then they just announced the crossover. The trailer just came out, which everyone's excited about. That if they threw that in there, I was just wondering, I'm like, I wonder if they even know that this is going to happen yet. Like, surprise, that's the way you found out.
About the whole crossover in general? Oh, no, we knew before that.
I think that would have been great if they did that. I mean, it's kind of dickish, but it's like, wow, that was kind of cool. I got to be part of that.
Yeah.
Recent stuff that's been happening on the show, Martian Manhunter has been a great addition to the show.
I'm glad you think so. He's such a cool character.
And it takes away a lot of extra stuff that your character doesn't need to be worried about or dealing with at the time, because focusing on the civilian side of your character and the superhero side, and obviously the fighting and storylines with family and aliens and all that stuff. But for them to do with Martian Manhunter as running that division of, what is it, DO?
The DEO.
DEO. That sets up all these other stories that, okay, they're already on top of it, and you can just jump right into it and go. So you're not sitting there like, oh, this is going to take 2 episodes to set up this arc and just to get to this point, explain who this character is, who this villain is, how it ties into Krypton.
Sure.
The Martian Manhunter was really a great addition to the show. The scene with dealing with your sister, I thought was amazing too. Where
her confession,
where I thought, because the way it was looked, I was like, you were about to brush her off, and then you did a complete 180, and like, that doesn't matter. We're moving forward. I can't lose you too. Like I said, everything in the last 4 episodes is really, I think anybody that still had any kind of doubt or criticism as far as Supergirl, was silenced in those last 4 episodes with everything that happened, especially the red kryptonite thing, showing a really dark side of everything. Definitely the smarter move, because the problem with Superman a lot of times people have that it's too clean cut, it's too bubblegum, too bright and sunny, and Superman always saves the day. And that this way you have some real inner turmoil and
some conflict for sure.
I was thinking it's the teen angst you didn't get to have. Especially when finding out with Indigo showing up, that the storyline says that you were in the pod leaving Krypton and you were stuck in the Phantom Zone, and she was the one who reprogrammed the thing so that you got out of there. Otherwise, you'd be trapped there for all time.
Right.
Which is why you didn't get older, and he and Clark did, because he was there before you and all that stuff. I think everything that's going on here, it's like they can't figure out another way to tie in Krypton, and they do, and it makes sense. It's not like they just keep going back to those stories or going back to those characters so everybody, get the whole Superman thing. Everything is great. Indigo, played by Kara Vander...
Laura
sorry,
Vandervoort.
Laura Vandervoort, who was Supergirl in Smallville.
Yep.
She was also Brainiac for an episode in Smallville.
Was she really?
Yeah, she played. There was she was possessed by Brainiac, so she played Brainiac in one episode of Smallville.
Right.
Indigo was a creation of, or a part of Brainiac at one point, and now there's word about a meeting with Helen Slater in a future episode.
Oh yeah, Helen Slater's there. She plays Eliza Danvers, Kara's adoptive mother, Alex's biological mother. She was in the Thanksgiving episode. She's fantastic.
But I'm sorry, I phrased this wrong. About all three of you are in a scene.
I don't think that they are in the same episode, but I don't believe that there is a meeting of all three of us.
Oh, okay.
I wish.
I thought there was, because I was going to say, what is that like to have the only three people to portray it? Right there is really a nice homage and a nice nod to respecting the history of that character. What was it like meeting Helen Slater?
She's fantastic, and she is sweet as could be, and always has. It's so interesting to hear her perspective on playing the character, Laura's perspective on playing the character. All three of us have had such different iterations of it. Helen's was this graceful, really majestic version of Supergirl, and she would tell me about all the training she had to do, riding horseback, doing archery, which is a lot different than the combat I've had to do and how I've trained for this role. Laura said she spent a lot of time playing her as kind of this bratty little sister and the adolescent version of her, really.
Right.
So it's fun to kind of compare stories and relate to each other and the similarities and differences of the character we've all loved playing.
Did DC get a chance to do a cast photo with all three of you together?
I think we were never there at the same time.
Oh, man.
It's such a bummer.
You got to tell them for maybe the start of season 2.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Working there, it's like, just let's get us all in the same room into one scene so that there's a photo and all the nerds can freak out and the internet blows up and have you. I'm running out of time with you, so a couple of quick things before you go. Usually what I do is I like to talk to people who have the jobs that you have in these superhero shows and movies. You get the merchandising, which is always really cool. I looked all over, and I didn't realize your Funko Pop Supergirl is not coming out till July.
Yeah, I know. I think they're going to unleash it at Comic-Con, maybe.
Well, we're going to be down there. I don't know if you're going to be down there, but if you are,
so. I hope.
We'll make the arrangements. I'd love to come down and talk to you on the floor or wherever you are at San Diego Comic-Con and try to get that signed, because I would love to put that up on my wall. I'm a big, like I said, this show turned me around, especially in the last several episodes. I've stuck with it, but then when all this was happening, I'm like, I am so glad this paid off. Everything was so great about this show. Your husband, who you met with, for people who don't know, you used to be on Glee, and you met him on Glee. He was, I forgot his character's name.
On Glee?
On Glee.
Ryder.
What does he think of the costume?
He was actually with me the first time I tried it on. I went to Colleen Atwood's house to try it on, and he was there, and he didn't say anything when I walked out of the room and I had it on, but I could tell that he was really taken aback.
Okay.
And I think both of us were really overwhelmed.
Has it changed anything in your life? It's like, why don't you wear the costume today? Or can you not do Halloween?
That costume is under lock and key.
Oh, really?
It is impossible for me to wear that outside of the Warner Brothers lot.
Okay. He never said, hey, you know what, for Halloween, why don't we get a Supergirl costume?
We joked about it, but I don't think I would ever be allowed.
Do you know, if you did that at this point, at San Diego this year, dressed up in the costume, nobody would believe it's you.
I feel like you're right, and I kind of think that would be so fun.
You could do one, because every year there's always a story of a celebrity who snuck onto the floor and nobody knew it was them. Matt Smith, who played Doctor Who, had a Bart Simpson mask, but he was wearing the doctor suit and nobody believed it was him.
Didn't Bryan Cranston
dressed up.
Heisman?
Yeah, had the pork pie hat and everything, walked through, nobody believed it was him, because the cosplay is so strong. If you do that this year and just have, like a little, somebody taping you, you have somebody doing a little video a few steps away from you and everything, and then you do the big reveal online later that day, the place will go nuts.
You think that no one would? I mean, my face is right there, though.
Yes, but you're on the floor of the place where everyone would never expect you to be in costume because everyone dresses up. I'm saying that's an interesting experiment if they do allow you to do that. Just walk through the floor. I bet nobody recognizes you or say, "Oh, I love your costume. Can we just take a photo?" Thinking, "Oh, this is somebody with a really cool costume." Like you're a really diehard cosplayer. See if you can do that.
That'd be cool.
I think it would go nuts if you got that video up online. Melissa, we're out of time, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Meissa Benoist. The show is Supergirl, Monday nights, 8 p.m. on CBS. March 28th is the big Flash Supergirl crossover. You definitely want to watch that. Now, your social media, real quick. What I found online and what's on the CBS page are two different things. So I'm just making sure your Twitter and your Instagram is your name.
Yes.
Okay, Meissa Benoist. Because on the CBS page, it says for your Twitter, it's Benoist.
Oh, that was a previous
Okay,
handle.
and your Instagram is Benoist.
Those are gone.
So, okay, so it is Meissa Benoist on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Hit her up. Tell her how much you love the show, and we'll look forward to talking to you at San Diego Comic-Con.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.